School shootings are obviously a sensitive topic to speak of, much more make a film based on them. In 2003, just 4 years after the school shooting in Columbine, Gus Van Sant released his film Elephant, a film that caused controversy when it was framed as the inspiration to the Red Lake shootings, which claimed the lives of 7 people and injured 5 others. But despite this tragic event, it has been well rated by both critics and audience alike. But to be fair, it does have a strong rejection from a certain crowd that see it as a failed art film made in bad taste. But I have finally given this film a watch, and I'm ready to take a closer look at what this film has in it. But before I get started with the review, I have to give you guys a spoiler alert. In my videos, I go through the entire story, breaking it down piece by piece, and give away pretty much all the major details. Just a fair warning to anybody who hasn't seen the film. And additionally, this is about a school shooting. It's a sensitive topic that will make some people uncomfortable, so just watch this video at your own discretion. But with all that out of the way, thank you so much for tuning in to Rabbit Hole Entrance. Now let's waste no more time and get to the review. Here we are in Portland, Oregon at fictional Watt High School, where it is just an ordinary day being spent at an ordinary looking high school, where we encounter some rather ordinary people, all soon to be devastated by an extraordinary event. Now it's not difficult to explain this story. We are watching the final moments of a high school filled with unaware students and staff soon to be shot up by 2 students. So the real question is, how are these final moments and the shooting itself displayed on film? And this is where it gets interesting. I actually struggled really hard formatting this review because Elephant is just such a different kind of film. That's why I couldn't upload a video last week. I was stuck writing this script. But at last, here it is. Hopefully it's good enough for you guys. In this film, our view will constantly change perspectives from random students even to the shooters themselves. And we get this unfiltered and almost real sense of time perspective from these people living in the moment of this sad day. There's no beginning in this film. It feels much more like you were just thrown into a random spot and you had to figure out the context yourself. What we see these folks do is simple. You got a guy taking pictures, some people in PE playing football, students walking to class, or they're just grouped together around talking. And this is all that happens during a huge part of the film. So I'll say it now, this is a very slow-paced movie. Action is not the way to describe this, nor was it intended to be so. In this approach to the tragic issue of a school shooting, the focal point is not the killing itself, but rather the day itself when it all happened, how it comes off as just typical. We also view the not so thought about perspectives and the moments that occur when a shooting is happening. This is why there are so many scenes where you go from one viewpoint to another. Now, when we're in these consistently changing viewpoints, does anything actually happen? Do we learn anything deep about these characters, or do they engage in any interesting activities or conversations? Well, the answer is no. In fact, this is what people do and what most conversations they have in the film consist of.
Hey, can I take your guys' picture?
Why?
I'm just developing my portfolio right now, doing random projects.
What's a portfolio?
It's when you put together pictures, to present your work.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
What's wrong? You're crying.
Yeah.
Is something bad?
I don't know.
I'll see you later. I have to go to a Geisha Alliance meeting.
Okay.
Long pants. Everybody else is wearing shorts. What's the matter?
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to give you a mark against you either, but I'm going to have to do it if you can't show up in shorts like you're supposed to. Look, I won't do anything about it this time, but tomorrow, I want to see those shorts.
Okay.
I am so tired. I haven't been getting any sleep lately because every morning I wake up and my mom's going through my stuff.
Are you looking through your stuff?
Yeah. Completely ruffling through my covers and
Your covers?
yeah.
What a bitch.
What would I hide there? What am I going to be hiding?
Now I know what you're thinking. A slow-paced film that mostly only displays the boring moments where we only have surface-level characters that never really engage in any type of interesting dialogue. This is the ingredients to a horrible film. And if you do see it that way, I respect your opinion, but I disagree. I actually love this approach, and I think the director was both smart and creative for doing it this way. Now, how could I think such a thing, and why did Gus Van Sant take this avenue in order to tell his story? Well, to answer those 2 questions, we need to first look at what inspired this film's creation. And no, I'm not talking about Columbine. I'm talking about the Irish short film made in 1989, also called Elephant. Now in this film, we witness a series of murders without any context as to why this happened, who they were, and what is to come of this. And let me tell you, that is all that happens. scene after scene of a random person walking somewhere and just randomly killing whoever they encounter, and then they go on about their day. There is no score. There's maybe a total of 10 lines in all 40 minutes of this short film, and we have these long shots of just watching these guys walking to and from the scene of the crime, long shots of just looking at these victims lying dead. Gus Van Sant's film Elephant also does this. Long shots of following students as they walk the hallways of the school or just doing any regular task you would expect a student to do. But I'll get back to that later. So what was the purpose of the 1989 film Elephant? Well, this takes place during the Northern Ireland conflict, where nationalists and unionists were at war with one another. This conflict lasted 3 decades and led to the death of many people through riots, acts of terrorism, etc. This short film wasn't trying to give a history lesson nor even give context as to that being the reason behind all of this. It was trying to show how this conflict had gotten so out of hand, and the people who were living in this part of the world during that period of time have become so used to the violence that the contents of this film just seems like any other day of life to them. That's why there's no music, no actual plot, barely any words spoken, and no matter how many killings we witness, there's no mass panic or no news stories being released. When we watch for a long period of time this victim laying dead, there's just nothing happening. It's more like you're just watching a documentary rather than a film. It's about the horror of such a terrible thing like taking the life of a human being becoming so dull and mundane. It's not entertainment, and neither is Gus Van Sant's version, so let's see how he uses this type of method in his film. One of the largest complaints about Elephant are the very long shots of watching characters walking around with what seems no purpose.
That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles!
In my opinion, it's done this way in order to show you as much of the school's environment as possible. Through the attitudes of the students and the teachers, you in no way would guess a crisis would soon befall them. They want you to feel in the moment that this is happening. Is it boring to you? Good, because that's what it's like for them as well. These long moments of so many different faces passing by and examining them go through the day, it's all about ambience, feeling like you're living in that moment too. Now this film does have lots of dialogue, there is a score, though I admit it's rather simple. There are clues as to why this is happening unlike the original short film. So the other major element Gus Van Sant adopts from it is the name of the film itself. And what I mean by that is the significance of the word elephant to both of these stories, because it derives from the metaphorical idiom of the elephant in our living room, or more modernly, addressing the elephant in the room, which pretty much means an important or controversial issue that is extremely obvious but nobody wants to talk or do anything about it. In the 1989 version, the metaphorical elephant was the killing, how so many people were being murdered, yet nothing was done by it. There was no reaction, no consequences. Life just went on. In the 2003 version, the elephant are the two shooters, Alex and Eric. But mostly Alex, he's the more special of the two, and the one who calls the shots. What's peculiar about this film is how we only get one small scene of giving some type of explanation that led him to doing this.
Is they will sit up in this higher energy state and then drop down again. And when they drop down, they emit light.
He was being harassed by two students to let you know that he's a victim of bullying. It's not the whole story, but it's just enough to show where Alex's place is in the school. No one stands up for him, no one calls out these two guys that were bothering him, and he seems totally isolated and ignored by the rest of the student body. There are moments in this film that, if properly handled, it could have prevented the shooting from happening. One scene is this flashback when Alex was still preparing for the assault. He's in the cafeteria hanging by the food line. At first glance, he's just looking for something to eat, but you notice he seems out of place and he walks away to write something on his notepad.
Where are you writing?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
It's my plan.
For what?
Oh, you'll see.
I mean, that's a pretty obvious red flag. But then again, it's easier for me to say in my position. If I was in that girl's place, I don't think I would have been any different. But let's go back to the beginning of this scene right here and take a closer look of what was actually happening. When Alex was in the food line, was he really looking for something to eat? Or was he actually observing the area behind it, that pathway, possible places to look for victims hiding, and escape routes for them? Another moment is when he's at home with his friend Eric. Now trust me, they're not very secretive with their plan, yet there isn't anyone that shows the slightest bit of concern. Look at the stuff they watch on TV. They were gun shopping on the computer, they even had them shipped directly at their door. But Alex's mom notices nothing, Because who would ever suspect something like that from their own child? Now this one right here is my favorite of them all, but it's for personal reasons. Maybe it was different for you when you watched it. But let's look at this scene where John, who was the first character shown in the film, heads outside. He sees a dog and wants to go play with it, but his attention is stolen when he sees Alex and Eric marching towards the school, and he starts running towards the people outside, telling them not to go in. But most people just ignore him or brush him off as crazy. But what's the point I'm trying to make here? Let's view this scene again. When John approaches the dog, both Alex and Eric are already on screen. John, the dog, and its owner are in the center of the frame, but you could still notice Alex and Eric from a distance. When I first saw this, I didn't even notice them. I was too distracted by the cute dog. I'm not saying it was the same case for everybody, but it shows how even the viewers can easily miss a red flag until it's already at your face. It's crazy how all the students before and after John didn't notice anything off about Alex and Eric entering the school, dressed the way they are carrying all of those bags. And how no one even showed the slightest bit of concern when John was approaching them frantically, begging them not to enter the school. To all of those people, it was just another ordinary day. Why is he yelling? Nothing crazy ever happens here. It's not about the origins of the shooter as to why they felt this was the path they had to take, but how it could have been stopped, how it's so plain in our face but we chose not to do anything, either because we got enough problems of our own, we don't know who they are, or it's just a phase, they'll get over it. And this bugs people since we don't get an in-depth analysis to Alex nor with Eric with what they went through. Just that they're shooting up a school and it could have been stopped. No closure, no deeper understanding granted. Alright, let's move to a lighter subject. Since we're going to be dealing with so many characters and they'll be given long drawn out shots for us to enjoy, I think it's fair we give a few of them some attention and talk about how they are presented. It's a common gripe how they are so static and don't share any meaningful words. Let's take a look at John. We see him first as being driven to school by his dad, who is apparently drunk. We don't learn why his dad was drinking. Problems at home? His wife left him? He lost his job? What is it? Sorry, it's not relevant. This just happened to be the circumstances for them on this fateful day. Elias is our next guy. All you need to know about him is he's a photographer. He's just doing his routine day of capturing moments, finding random people to take pictures of and process the images. Let's look at Michelle, who has a very short role in this film. The only engagement she has is with her PE teacher, who wants her to wear shorts. How about Brittany, Jordan, and Nicole, these three friends who all crush for the same guy, and they're having this fight about how they don't spend as much time together because one of them now has a boyfriend. This is all just small talk, small issues, nothing extraordinary, and we don't really learn much about them from this. Now the reason that's not an issue is because, like I said, we're just thrown into a random spot with this film. All of these issues and conversations concerning the characters do have some depth in them. The thing is, it's not about understanding them or relating to them on the personal level. The film just wants you to feel like you are with them, clueless and helpless at that very moment. There isn't a need for each of them to have to do anything exceptional or to complicate the dialogue they have. They don't see some time frame to tell it all and resolve it. Any quarrels or desires to do something interesting can be put on hold, because in their mind, they have all day, all week, the rest of their lives to do it. What's the rush? There's nothing special about today. That's why they chose to be dull. That's why the day is dull. And so are their conversations. We don't always speak in a detailed and intellectual manner regarding important topics. We don't always go do exciting things. That's why I don't understand the hate the film gets when it's trying to be realistic, and yet it upsets people with how real the moments are. Realistic and entertaining are not the same thing, and we seem to lose that when we talk about films because we tend to think that films are supposed to be only for entertainment. It just wouldn't make any sense for it to be any other way. This film leaves a lot of room for discussion where we can make our own story based off of it. We can make assumptions of Alex's life, Eric's life, how bad they were treated at school. Did they ever go for help? If so, who did they go to? And what did they do? If they didn't ask for help, what was it that stopped them? When it comes to the students, we could have had the chance to learn more about them. We could have found out why John's father was drunk on a school day in the morning. What if the faculty would have found out about this issue? We could have seen for ourselves how Elias's pictures came out and what other projects he could have taken up. We could have seen if Michelle was going to wear those shorts for PE, and if not, what consequences would have come from that. We could have found out if Courtney, Jordan, and Nicole would have had the chance to make amends and spend more time together. And these things were going through their heads too, no doubt, and they would have seen it all through. But
Hey, you got...
that ended up happening. and all of those potential complex characters and their stories were abruptly ended. This is a film that requires patience. You shouldn't really view this for the sake of a fun time. It wants to be realistic, and in my opinion, mission accomplished. When it attempts to be authentic, it also is an artistic film. While some hate the long drawn out shots, I actually enjoyed them because it made me feel like I was trapped within those walls too. And don't forget, with the change of perspectives, we see these long moments from different angles because these characters all in some way run into each other. Even if they don't speak or make eye contact, they still pass each other through the halls, and that's how they're connected. Not by conflict or conversation, they're all bound to the same massacre, and they are closer to each other than they may notice. And what's cool about this film is how none of these people are presented to belong to some kind of group or niche. There's no jocks, cheerleaders, nerds, emo kids, or any of that other shit. All of them are presented as students, teachers, staff, human beings. This film really got rid of so much irrelevant details that have no impact to the shooting. All that matter that they are humans. This is where they study or work, and by those standards alone, they are now constrained to this calamitous event. Through and through, I can't find myself to hate this film. I know it feels like I didn't pretty much cover anything about what actually happened in the movie, but it's not something that has to be explained, it's something that has to be viewed. This video is more about addressing what I thought the film was about and why it took this approach, since I feel a lot of people get it wrong here. But I think it also helped me out that I watched the original short film first and researching its hidden meaning. Like I said, people walked into this with the wrong idea, and that's fine because I've done that plenty of times. To anyone who has seen my review of Gummo, you know how bad I fucked that review up, because I criticized in a manner that you would expect a film if it was created for entertainment, which it wasn't. It's the same case here. I'm really glad I watched this film and found the original. Films like this really do broaden your understanding of how to see art and the many ways to express it. I'm really happy to know that this film and Gus Van Sant saw lots of success from it, especially when he lifted the Palme d'Or. For me, it's a 7.5 out of 10, and I really hope to find more films like this because I was just blown away by both of these two films. And to any one of you who haven't seen the original, please do so. It deserves a lot more attention than it currently has. Bravo to the both of them. Anyways guys, that's the end of this video right here. I really hope you enjoyed the review to the fullest extent and got plenty of value from it. And to be honest, out of all of the films I have reviewed on this channel, this is the one I am most curious to hear from you guys, because I know for sure I'm gonna get a lot of disagreements. Hell, I'll probably piss a bunch of you guys off. But I'm totally fine with that, because I want the comment section to be an open discussion, so please, do not hold back. And one last favor, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, it helps out the channel out a lot, and of course it would mean the world to me. Again, thank you so much for watching, take it easy, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.